And so I'll ask another quick question. What do these organizations have in common? What's that? Well, they got a good, certainly have a brand. And yeah, sometimes viral PR. But in terms of the way they work, you get a place like P&G, which used to do all that R&D in-house. I think they do something like $28 billion a year, just an extraordinary amount. They used to do it all in-house. They've distributed it now because there's more innovation happening across the world that they're going to source it from networks. Google, rather than having one person at the top deciding what to do, lets every employee have 20% of their time to dream and imagine and pursue ideas, and the growth of that company comes from the unfettered power of those networks. And Al-Qaeda, why do we have a hard time cutting the head off Al-Qaeda? Because there is no head. They have self-organizing cells that understand what the goal is and can actuate against that goal, which suggests that they all sort of have these distributed, network-based, innovative leadership models that are working behind some aligned goals. Now, what the heck does that have to do with what we're doing here? Well, you think about the old model in the 1980s, right? You get those 15 people down to the union club, and you figure out what needs to be done. You state it, and then you go pursue it in a way that a few people can drive the change. Well, if there are not a few people with that kind of power anymore, what do we do? And you think about how we all just think, if only we had a mayor who this, or if only we had a corporate leader, it's not going to be that way, as much as we might want it. Instead, the world we face today is one in which the power is diffuse. And so the challenge for all of us is that we have to agree that we've got some interests, a shared vision, realize we have to work together, and then we're all going to act in our self-interest. You're going to do what's right for Bedford, you're going to do what's right for University Heights and elsewhere. But if we're aligned and we have a common understanding of what the problem is and the opportunities are, we can pursue those self-interests and achieve success. And I'm starting to harangue, and I apologize for that, but this is so central to what we're doing here, and it's just my observation after 20 years of consulting and now 6 years in the economic development game, is we really haven't grasped that as a community yet, and we're fighting it still. We still want to go back to 1982. So, I think a great example of this. So you go down to Worcester, right? And what are they talking about down in Worcester? And I hope there's no one from Medina here. They're saying, we don't want to have what happened to Medina County to happen to us. We like our farm towns, we like our quality of life, we see opportunities in agriculture. How do we protect that and have growth in a planful way? You go into Cleveland, and they say, what can we do with our urban core? We're bleeding outwards, we have to keep the middle class back, everybody's sprawling out. But too often in a Cleveland conversation, you talk about Wayne County and Worcester as if it's the enemy, and Wayne County is fearful of those yahoos from Cleveland who can't seem to get things done. When in fact, they have two concerns, but it's the same interest, which is what, as Chairman Zone was saying, gets us to this idea of, well, maybe some form of planning, revenue sharing, and so forth. There's a dialogue here that needs to happen between urban, suburban, exurban, and rural here in terms of what it is we want to do. And we actually are more on the same page than we might think. And again, I'm preaching something that you guys are living, so I'm saying that with humility and asserting it.